Hello, this is your 6-month budget. Here is the information that you sent me and what I went off of. And I did see that you're very organized and you do have a good system, but I did have to make a lot of changes just to get you to January 1st. So you will see changes as far as how you did your savings, and especially your sinking funds. Okay, so these are your debts. This is the order that I decided to tackle them in. And then at the end of January, I realized that the medical bills and the Jeep loan will actually switch. So the Jeep loan will be tackled before the medical bills, and you'll see why at the end. So it's mostly avalanche, meaning highest interest to lowest interest, but it's also a snowball because it is the minimums mostly to the highest. So it's actually a combination of both, which is actually interesting how both methods worked out in your scenario, which is interesting. Okay, so these are just each month calendar of your pay days and your bills, and as the months go by, like credit cards that are paid off and things are eliminated. So by the time you get to January, there are less things on the calendar to pay, which is great. Okay, getting straight into January 22nd, your paycheck is $405 and your husband is $400. But when you sent me the total for the month, it looks like you make between $50 to $100 more than this, and that's going to come into play. Now you had a rollover of $13, and I am personally adding a $500 buffer. Without that $500, you cannot survive financially without taking out more loans or accruing more debt with more interest on your credit cards. So that $500 rollover is absolutely necessary, and I have it worked out so that January 1st you will be able to reimburse me for that. And so it's basically just interest-free loan to help you get through this budget. So don't let that freak you out. It's just necessary, and I want that for you. So let's just get through it. Let's get to it. So these are the bills for this pay cycle. They total this, leaving this. Now for groceries, and husband will be getting these amounts, which are in cash. Usually I have to highlight what comes out in cash, and I put the total up at the top, but you look like you have a really good understanding of what needs to be cash and what needs to be transferred into different savings accounts. Now this is light, and I do know that. We're just got to get through a couple cycles, and then you'll see some changes. Now for savings, you've been giving yourself and your husband, H stands for husband because I'm not sure of your husband's name, you have been saving $6 per paycheck. You and your husband need to be saving 10% of whatever your weekly income is from now on until the end of time. So that equals $40. So for your savings, you will be getting 40, and for his savings, he'll be getting 40, totaling 80, leaving 881. So you have a rollover of 881. That rollover was essential because the July 29th, the next pay cycle, is pretty heavy with bills. So you have yours and your husband's paychecks with the rollover equaling $1,686. The bills due for this week were pretty heavy because it included one of the car loans, the mortgage, and some bills, leaving $384. Then the groceries were $60, husband spending $10, and date night $10, equaling $90. So $294 remaining. Again, you will always transfer your 10%. So if this is $410, it'll be $41. If this is $500, it'll be $50. It will always be 10% for the rest of your life. It's crucial. And your husband is the same. So then here for debt, for these two credit cards, we will be adding $20 each towards the principal of those amounts. So when you see your credit cards over here in the bills, it'll only be the minimum, and the extra towards the principal will be here in the debt section. So for this pay cycle, for this week, we're going to be paying down $40, $20 towards each of those two cards, but you're not going to pay it until the credit card is due. And at the end, I will have a list of when it's due and what exactly the payment amount is, so that'll help you out. So the rollover is $174. Now on to August 5th, so it's a new month. Your combined paychecks plus the rollover is $979. Here are the bills for this, and you'll see that you did have that credit card here. So that payment will include this principal and the principal from before, so it'll be a higher payment than just the minimum. So we're paying down that card rather quickly. So all of this totals $371, leaving $600. Groceries, husband, date night, all of the cash. So it's $90 cash budgeting for this week. You will still transfer over that 10%, regardless of what the amount is. It'll always be 10% into those two accounts. And then again, these two receive their payment towards the principal. And this is applied with this and the previous also. So, and you'll see that later on. With a rollover of $398, which brings us to August 12th. Your combined paychecks in the rollover come to $1,203. You have these three bills, which total this. Then your cash expenses will be $60 for groceries, $20 for your husband, $10 for date night, equaling $90. And then your 10% savings that you will transfer into the savings accounts. Now, this card with this total, including the minimum, which you pay in this pay cycle, this asterisk means that this card is now paid off. And this card is the one that is at a ridiculously high interest rate. So I highly recommend getting rid of this card. And because you do have the other credit card that has the little bit lower interest rate, I would keep this card just so you can continue showing good standing, but this card at this interest rate absolutely needs to go down. And I also highly recommend contacting this credit card company and speak to them about the possibility of lowering this interest rate also. Even though we are going to pay off this card, it still needs to be utilized to maintain your credit. Unfortunately, at least until January. And then in January, I would consider getting rid of this card as well. But for the time being, you can contact them and just ask them if it would be a possibility for you to lower this interest rate. This card, however, on the January 12th pay cycle will be completely paid down to zero, and I suggest closing this card permanently and just getting rid of it altogether. It is doing nothing. There's no benefit to having that card whatsoever. But you have paid off your first credit card within like 3 weeks, which is great. The rollover is $624.74. I don't roll over the cents. You'll see that here. So I just have $624. So again, you and your husband's paychecks. The rollover $14. Now the bills this week total $170.97, leaving $1,258.03. And then your cash amounts, I know they're a little bit less than you were expecting, but it's necessary to get those cards paid off quickly before January 1st. 90, then you will be getting your 10% into savings. And then we start on PNC. It is going to receive $86 towards the principal. So for this pay cycle, it'll get the minimum and then the additional amount towards the principal paid down on it. That leaves $1,002, so that rolls over. Now this is the last week in August with the 2 paychecks and the rollover. We're at $1,807. This is a heavy billing cycle. So with all of your bills, including your mortgage and your 2 car loans, it ends up being $1,502, leaving $305. So groceries and husband. So your cash amount for this week is $80. Your transfer of your savings, the 10% per paycheck for each, will go here, which is 80, which leaves us 140, which I left entirely for rollover. Now into September, it's the same thing. Your combined paychecks with the rollover equals $950. Your bills for this cycle come to $286, leaving $664. Your cash budget for the week will be 60, 20, and 10 for these categories, leaving $574. Again, you're going to transfer the 10%, which may not always be 40 if these totals are a little bit more or a little bit less. So it just needs to be 10%, which I think these are your absolute minimum. So it'll always be a minimum of $40 per you and your husband's savings accounts. Now this credit card will receive $139.62 with the minimum here, which with that asterisk means that this card is now completely paid off, down to 0. And this is the card that was at the 14.65 interest rate. Now you will continue utilizing this card. Let me just finish. Okay, so the rollover is $354. You're still going to continue to use this card, and I'm going to show you why. So this card, with it being the lowest interest rate, other than the PNC, but the PNC needs to be paid down to 0 immediately. So with this card, this is how you're going to pay your gas for your vehicles. So every month, every 2 weeks, I think you said you fill up your cars, you need to put that $25 to $50 on this card, and you're going to use your overage in your paychecks. So if this is for 20, you have $15 overage for the month. Whatever all of the overages from your paychecks will pay off the gas charges that you put on this card entirely on the due date. Sorry about that, somebody called in. So in order for this to work, you have to put your $25 to $50 of gas per month on this card. And in order to not get that interest, you need to pay it off entirely before the due date of the 7th, which is very possible by accumulating the overage in your paychecks to pay that off. So I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions about that, just ask me. It's looking like you make about $100 plus a month over what's accounted for in the weekly payout. So that $100 should definitely cover the $25 to $50 with the gas that you're going to put on that card. And if you pay it off before, the interest, and you don't have any rollover and you pay it down to 0, then you'll absolutely have no problem, and you'll still maintain that perfect payment record on that one card. And this is only going to be through January 1st. After January 1st, we can start cash budgeting for all gas payments, and we can get rid of that card. Because even at 14%, that's not great. We can eliminate that card. Okay, so this is September 2nd. In this pay cycle is this, and then your cash is there, your 40%, or your 10%, and you've paid off that card completely, but we're not going to eliminate it. You're going to utilize it from gas at this point after September 2nd. And then your rollover is $354. That brings us to September 9th pay cycle. With both of your checks and the rollover, it comes to $1,159. You only have these 2 bills for this pay cycle, leaving $929. Your cash amount for the week will be $90. And I know you also said that you like these to be rolling amounts. So I'm assuming if you only spend $50 on groceries, that you just keep that 10 in there, and then the next week you have an additional 10. You may want to consider that from week to week, if you do not spend the entirety of the groceries, and if your husband does not spend the entirety of the 20, to not roll over, to take that remaining money and put it into its own separate cash envelope where you will just accumulate cash for the next 6 months. So let's say you spend $58 and you have $2 remaining on groceries. Take that $2 cash and put it into a overage envelope, and then just put it out of sight, out of mind, because that money can accumulate to be quite a good amount of money. And rather than having these be rolling, well, not date night can roll, but groceries and your husband's spending, whatever isn't spent for that week should go into a cash envelope that you save. That way each week when you receive your new amounts, it's you start from zero. And that's a great way to save money that you're not planning for. So I highly recommend that. Okay, so then of course you receive your 10% savings, each of you separately, for 10% of each of your earnings. And then PNC receives $30 on top of the minimum. It's not due in this pay cycle, so this is just accumulating for that payment when it is due, which I have a chart for when each payment is due and what the totals will be, accounting for all of the amounts saved towards the principal and the minimums. And you'll see that later on too. A lot of things will start to make more sense later down the road. I just have to kind of get through all of the paychecks. But the rollover will be $729 on that. September 16th, you have your paychecks, your rollover here. It equals $1,534. You have these 3 bills totaling $383.97. The remaining is $1,150. Your cash amount, again, is $90. Your 10% savings for both you and your husband go in, $40 each, into both accounts. And it looks like you have a really good understanding of how to do the bank transfer, so I'm not worried about you doing that at all. Some people have no concept of that, but it looks like you have a good understanding of both the cash that you take out and also the transfers. Now, Norton on this will receive $80, and that's because the timing. Norton sinking fund receives $80 here, so this is $160, leaving $90, and then PNC receives $30 towards the principal. Their rollover is $870. Now, with this September 23rd paycheck, with both paychecks and the rollover, it is $1,675. Here are the bills for this pay cycle for this week, totaling $672, leaving $1,003. Your cash total will be $90 for these categories. And then your savings, of course, the 10% for you and your husband, separate accounts. And then your National Geographic and your Microsoft will receive totals of $39 and $50. Which will leave $744. Then PNC receives the $103, and you'll see here PNC also receives the minimum. So the minimums on the credit cards and the debts will always be here when they're the week that they are due. Here is just the extra payment towards the principal of the debt, with a rollover of $641. Okay, so September 30th, here are your paychecks and here is your rollover, totaling $1,446. Now this again is a heavy week because your mortgage is in it. So your bills for this week total $1,057. Excuse me, take a sip of tea. Sorry about that. Okay, and your remaining is $389. Now this week, groceries will be receiving $60, so your cash amount is only $60 for this week. You will both receive your 10% savings, always. nothing going towards principal of debt on this, and a rollover of $249. Which brings us here. Here are the two paychecks, the $249, $1,054. These are the three bills due for this week, totaling $211, leaving $843. Now your groceries, husband spending, and date night equal $90. I think typically this is pretty much stays around 90. I know the week prior was shy, but that's just what it needs to be to get these credit cards paid down quickly. After January 1st, everything loosens up significantly. Next year is a golden year for you. Good things happening. Leaving $753. Of course, the savings, 10% for each of you for both of your earnings. And then PNC again receives $25 towards the principal with a rollover of $648. Now your paychecks here with a rollover, $1,453 to work with. Here are the three bills due this week. After they are deducted, you have $1,069.03. Your cash budget for the week, $90 for the three categories. And then, of course, your instant transfers into your two savings of 10% of your earnings. PNC will receive $50 this week towards the principal, saved for when the bill is due, and the rollover of $848. Now, your paychecks and then the rollover of $848 equals $1,654. Now, this is the cycle where PNC is due. So here's the minimum. Now, this minimum probably will be lower. The payments due will be lower because you've been paying down on the principal of these. So when you do have rollover, there probably is going to be more rollover than is accounted for, which is fine. You'll just recalculate on January 1st how much is in the account, which is fine. And remember, any overage in your pay is paying that credit card, this credit card that is paying your $25 to $50 of gas every month, but you're paying it off before the 7th, so you're not accruing the interest. So you're utilizing this card, using the overage from your paycheck to pay it off. And so you're maintaining a perfect payment record on this card, which is important. Okay, so just don't forget that. It's important. But that goes away in January completely. It'll be completely cash-based for all of the gasoline at that point. Okay, so you have these two bills for this week, totaling $97 with just the minimum. That leaves $1,557. You have the cash balance of $90 for your three categories. The savings transfers of the 10% for each you and your husband. And then this pay cycle, savings account number 4 was for house, will receive $100. You will pay PNC $88. Well, you'll have $88 budgeted towards the principal. It is due this cycle, and you'll see later I have a chart of the exact due date and the exact amount that will be paid, so you don't have to worry about that. The rollover is $1,199. This is the last week of October. Your paychecks and the rollover, it equals $2,004. You have a heavy bill cycle. All of your bills for this week equal $1,502, leaving $502. This week, you're going to be receiving $60 for groceries for your cash budget. So you have $60 groceries, with a remaining of $442. You will receive your 10%, both you and your husband, absolutely, and then your miscellaneous sinking fund will receive $60 in this pay cycle. A rollover of $304. That brings us to November. Your paychecks with a rollover of $302 equals $1,107. Your bills for this week total $341, leaving $766. Now your cash envelopes, $90 for each category. I'm sorry, $90 that will be distributed into each category. Your savings, the 10% of you and your husband's earnings will go into your savings accounts, and then your sinking fund of life insurance will receive the total amount needed, which is $102. And then also PNC will receive $100 towards the principal this week, and with a rollover of $394. Now, November 11th, you receive both of your paychecks with a rollover of $394, leaving that, which totals $1,199. The only bill due this week, it turns out, is the Christmas Club for $60. So you have a remainder of $1,139. You will receive your $90 for your cash funds for you to put in there, and then your savings, of course, is always the 10%. No matter what this figure is, you know, always you'll change what the 10% is, but it'll always be 10% for you and your husband. And then your birthday anniversary sinking fund is going to receive $120 out of this pay week cycle. That leaves $849. PNC is going to receive $100, leaving a rollover of $749. November 18th, both of your paychecks with the rollover equals $1,554. You have 4 bills due this week, totaling $420.97, leaving $1,133. Your cash envelopes will be $90, and then you will have your 10% savings that you will transfer over to your saving account and your husband's savings account. And then PNC will receive $63, leaving $900 for the rollover. November 25th, you have your paychecks with the $900 rollover is $1,705. Now this week you have your truck, your Jeep, and Christmas Club, which total $635, leaving $1,000.70. Your cash envelopes will receive $80 this week, which go into the 3 categories, and your savings of the 10% you will transfer over to you and your husband's from your individual paychecks. PNC will receive $10 this week with a rollover of $900. Which brings us to December 1st. With your 2 paychecks and the rollover of $900, that totals $1,705. All of your bills for this week total $1,123, leaving $582. Your cash envelopes will receive 60, 20, and 10, $90, leaving $492. Again, your 10% transfer of you and your husband's paychecks into you and your husband's savings accounts. Now on this one, your sinking fund of Norton receives $80. And PNC receives $25 towards the principal, with a rollover of $307. Now, December 9th, paychecks, you have the rollover of $307, so it's $1,112. These are the 2 bills due this week, leaving $967 and then the cash envelopes equaling $90 for the 3 categories. You will do the transfer of the 10% into the savings accounts, and your sinking funds of dentist will receive a flat $50, and newspaper will receive a flat $50 as well. PNC will receive $100 towards the principal of the debt, and the rollover is $597. December 16th, pay week. You both receive your paychecks. The rollover is $597. That totals $1,402. Here are the bills due this week, totaling $383.97, leaving $1,018.03. Your cash envelope totals for the week will be $90. And your transfers of the 10% savings to you from yours and your husband's from his And then vehicle maintenance sinking fund will receive $100. PNC will receive $100 towards the principal, and rollover is $688. All right, so December 23rd, you and your husband's paychecks. The rollover is $688. The total is $1,493. Here are your 4 bills for this week, totaling $672, leaving $821. Now, your cash envelopes will receive 90 for the 3 categories. And then your savings of the 10% you will transfer into you and your husband's savings accounts. PNC will receive 128 with a rollover of 523. Now this is December 30th, so this is the last paycheck of the year. You will receive your paychecks. The rollover is 523, leaving 1328. Here are the bills due this week, which actually bleed over into January. So this mortgage is for the January 1st mortgage, but this paycheck pays for those. So it totals $982 and $346. I'm sorry, leaving the remainder of $346. And then your cash envelopes also receive the same $90 that it typically gets, which you will put into the categories. At this point, you should have accumulated a good amount of overage, even if it's like $1 or $2 each week, where you don't roll over grocery and husband spending. You should save any money that you do not spend out of those 2 categories. Your savings, of course, 10% always transferred. And then PNC receives $100 with a rollover of $76. So I'm going to show you what we've done for you for the remainder of 2022, and then I'm going to show you beginning January. I'm going to show you a January budget and how it's affected greatly and in a really positive way because of all of everything that you will have done in 2023. Okay, so PNC, you know all of the minimum, you know the interest, you know all of this. Here are the months and the dates that you pay them. So July 24th is the minimum and the ending balance. August 24th, you will have paid $163. In September, you will have paid $200, leaving $16. October, and so on and so forth. So in December, you actually will have paid $400 towards it, leaving $783. So in totality, you have paid down this card $1,263. Now this card is the one that by September 5th, you will have completely paid off, but then you're going to continue using this card that had the lower interest rate than the other for gas. And you're going to pay this card off with the overage of your paychecks. It won't even require, I don't even think it'll take half of the overage of your paychecks, but it may, which is fine, because the overage is unaccounted for, and it'll help you continue to have on-time decent payments with this card, and as long as you pay it by the 5th, you will not accrue the interest, and if you pay it down to 0, which is great. You do not have to worry about like having 10% usage because you have the PNC card, which has extremely high usage. Okay, so your mortgage, of course, it's due on the 1st. You paid the regular amount. You will have paid $3,720 down on your mortgage, which is great. Your medical bills receive the minimum $75 each week, so you've paid down $375 on your medical bills. Now your truck loan received the $375, so you paid down $1,875 on that. And the Jeep loan, you paid the minimum $200, so you paid the $1,000 on that also. So in totality, oh, not yet. Sorry, getting there. All right, so for sinking funds, your savings, which is 10% forever, 10% of all of your earnings forever, July, it received 80 because of how many weeks I budgeted for, and then whether there were 4 weeks or if there were 5 weeks, it depended on whether it received 160 or 200. So in the end of December, you will have $960, and so will your husband. So what I would do is, what I suggest that you do, what needs to be done is this $960 that's in his savings account, which I typically would say you would never touch this money, but because you really need to eliminate some debt in order to not get into more debt in 2023. PNC, at this point, which let me grab PNC real fast. Okay, here it is. PNC has an ending balance of $783.28, which this will probably be a little bit lower because you have been making payments down on the principal, not just paying the minimum with the interest. So $783. I really recommend, because you have this, he will have this savings at the end of December, that he go ahead and pay that $783.28, which it'll be lower than this amount, and pay off PNC completely down to zero. I highly recommend that. Now, you had budgeted for the 24 pay cycles until the end of the year, only $6 going into his savings, which would have totaled $144. Well, he, after paying this, will have $176.72, and I would leave the $144 that you originally had wanted for him to have in that savings account, and use the $32 remaining after paying this off towards the rollover for January. And then on your side, I'll get to your side later. But yes, so with his savings, paying off PNC would eliminate a lot of bills for you, a significant amount of bills. And then whether he wants to keep this card as an emergency or not, I would recommend closing down this card. You already have a mortgage, you already have 2 car loans, you've already established good credit with your bank or whoever your lenders are. You really just don't need to, you just don't need the card, honestly, at that point. And you also don't need the card that you've been paying the gas with also. So with all 3 credit cards now down to zero, by January 1st, I would eliminate all 3 cards completely. They just are not necessary. You can use your debit card, or not, or you can keep it just in case of an emergency. Okay, so now let me get back on track. Okay, so your sinking funds, I asked you today for the beginning balances, but you're at work, so you don't have them on you, so that's fine. Norton received until the end of the year, 160. National Geographic received 39. Microsoft 50. Your savings, number 4, house savings, received 100. Miscellaneous received 60. Life insurance received the 102. Birthdays and anniversaries received 120. Dentist received 50. Newspaper received 50. And vehicle maintenance received 100. Now, the numbers in the parentheses are the amounts that you would have liked to see in those accounts. So you would have liked 144 in house savings, and miscellaneous 120. Dentist is 190 short of what you would have preferred. Vehicle maintenance is 140 short of what you preferred. And I'm basing that on, there were 24 pay cycles between now and December 30th, the last one. So you wanted, $5, and you multiply that by 24, and you get the 120, which you only have 60 accounted for. So if you want, if you really want to hit those numbers, you can apply the totals, the 4460, 190, and 144, I believe, were 434, leaving 526, which if you subtract the 144, which is what you were wanting in the savings account, that'll leave 382 for you to use in your rollover for January. So with the leftover 382 and your husband's leftover 32, there's 414 to go into your rollover for January. So I thought it would just be interesting to show you what a difference January would make. And I'm going to go ahead and include January. It's no problem. I know I said till the end of December, but I want you to see how exciting it is that you paid down all of your credit cards. And so the next thing on the, remember I gave you the list of the order to pay them down, and I told you that we were going to switch out the Jeep loan with medical bills. And the reason that we're doing that is because when we ended, the Jeep actually ended up being less than the medical bills because you paid down much more on the Jeep than you did on the medical bills. So for January, your paychecks and then your rollover amount, $1,295. Your bills totaling $211, leaving $1,084. Your spending, now your spending's going up, so I'm able to actually have a spending account for you and your husband, or your household basically. Groceries is back up to that 80, husband receiving 10, and gas is receiving 25. So it's about 125 consistently a week now, leaving $959. Now of course you and your husband are receiving your savings. Now your number 3 was a joint savings for you and your husband. I recommend changing your joint, which received nothing over the past 6 months. I recommend changing your third savings account, the joint savings account, to be a 1 month ahead account. And what that is you're going to save up 1 month ahead in all of your bills. That way you have a very decent buffer. So if ever your husband and you cannot work, if you're sick, or if for some reason you don't have income for a full month, you will slowly but surely have that money accumulated in a savings account. So you could transfer out of this account if you were ever in an emergency. And this is an important savings account to have. Because you had that joint savings account, which really is unnecessary, I would switch this out to a 1 month ahead account. And later in the year of 2023, we can really bolster this up where it could actually end up being, after a couple of years, this could be 6 months. I could see easily in 2.5 years you having 6 months of ahead. So this could be, instead of 1 month ahead, it could be 6 months ahead, and you'd have those funds necessary. And then at that point you can decide, with such an accumulation, what you want to do, because you could then leave it at 1 month and take all of the overage and allocate them into your other savings funds, and cushion everything very, very well. So on here, you're on the debt, you're going to put 100 towards the Jeep. Vacation is going to receive 5, and I put vacation down here in extra savings rather than into the sinking funds, because vacation is just going to be a very slow accumulation at first, until we get the Jeep paid off. Okay, so that leaves a rollover of $754. So I wouldn't put this vacation money into your sinking funds, into that account that you keep all the sinking funds into. Where is it? This list, which typically you try to get the 95 in. You have a vacation somewhere in here, wherever it is. Or maybe you didn't. I thought you had a vacation. Am I missing it? No. Okay. There was something about vacation somewhere. Okay. I don't know. Maybe you didn't. Okay. Extra thing. I would do this in cash. So when you take out your cash envelopes, you do your total for your cash envelopes, and I would also do the extra savings for vacation separate. And you have a rollover of $754 for January. Now, the second week of January, your regular paychecks with the rollover, $1,564. You have these two bills. Now, notice that you have 3 credit card payments like completely eliminated. So you have 3 entire bills and 3 debt categories that we're no longer contributing to. So money has freed up significantly. So that's how you're able to get your spending up. Your groceries, your husband, and gas are consistent, around $125 cash plus the 5 vacation fund. And still continue to, for spending groceries, husband, gas, any overage that you don't spend during this week, put again in that envelope and save that overage. Like I have this, I'll show it to you here. I have this, and it was filled completely, and I took it out, and I had a significant amount of money that I was able to put into my sinking funds. And that's just overage from me not spending all of my cash every week. Sorry, my baby's a little fussy right now. Actually, let me go soothe him for a second. Okay, sorry about that. He is happy now. Oh. Yes, he is. Okay. Okay, so you're still going to have the transfer of the savings and the transfer of the 1 month ahead, totaling 100. The Jeep will receive 100. Vacation 5. Rollover is 924. Again, you receive your paychecks. The rollover is 1,734. These are the bills due this week. You have 1,600 left over after the bills. The spending is still consistently 125 for the individual categories, leaving 1,475. Savings, you have your 10%, and your husband has his 10%, and your 1 month ahead is getting 20. Jeep loan is getting 100. Vacation, of course, 5, which when you take out your cash, you'll take out 130 to account for this vacation, which is you're going to take it out in cash. And then the rollover is 1,270. Now, January 27th. Oh, sorry. Hold on 1 second. Okay, sorry again. He's only 3 months old, and it's thunderstorming, so I think he's just a little out of sorts. Okay, so this are the bills for that January 27th paycheck, totaling 1,502, remaining 500. You still have all of the categories receiving their amounts, which is 125. Savings receives the 10% from you and your husband. The 1 month ahead is receiving the $20. Now, the sinking funds that have set amounts, and the set amounts totaled $863 per year. It's going to receive for the first 4 months of the year, instead of the $95 a week, it's going to receive the $95 a month. So this isn't all of your sinking funds. The ones that are rolling sinking funds, let me find that list. Sorry. The ones that have rolling amounts, starting here. So there. Vehicle maintenance, birthdays, miscellaneous, dentist, newspaper. Like the things that you don't have an exact bill total will not be included in this. This is 95 is only towards 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 categories where you know the total amount that you need for the year. And that again, that frees up in a bit. So your Jeep loan receives 100 towards the principal. Vacation again 5, and then rollover of 148. Now this is significant because I'll show you these. Okay, so this is January. Okay, I have your calculator. So the Jeep loan will have 100. Then for the next week, 100. Then for the next week, 100. Then for the next week, 100 plus the minimum of 200. So on the 28th, or the your Jeep is due. Oh, I've had all these memorized. Jeep loan is due on the 29th. So on the 29th, you will have paid $600 down on your Jeep for the month of January, which is very impressive. Now let me show you why this is so great. So your Jeep loan is here. Your ending balance was $2,252.01. I'm not going to include the 1 cent. So 2252. All right, and then you're going to divide by 600, and you will be done paying off your Jeep in 3.7 months, which basically is 4 months, but the ending month will not be $600. It'll be significantly less. So starting in January, it'll only take you January, February, March, April to pay off that. By paying the $600 a month and still having extra funds towards all of your sinking funds, extra funds in your savings that you will never have to go back and use your savings ever again. That can now become retirement forever money. You'll also have accumulation in your 1 month ahead. So you will eliminate $600 of you will free up $600 in April. So what you'll do is you will start, so you will then have, $600 additional dollars a week, a month that you had been paying towards that Jeep, and that Jeep will be completely paid off, which will feel so good. Sorry, I'm searching through all the paperwork to get to the next one. Not that one. Okay, sorry again, I found it. So here are the medical bills. So at the end of January, you had $1,930.42 due on this because you've been paying the minimum of the $75 a month. So in April, or in May of 2023, after you've completely paid off your Jeep loan by paying $600 a month, you're going to have $600 free up a month. So what I would suggest doing is paying $375 towards these medical bills. And what that will do is, let's see, it's 1930. And you will have paid $75 for 4 months. So that's $300. So subtract the $300 And that's just paying the minimums for those 4 months. And then 1630, if you divide it by 375, 4.3. So at the $375 payments in 4.3 months, you will then have this bill completely eliminated, which will be absolutely incredible. And because you only are using 300 of the 600, you will then, at that point, starting in May, have an additional $300 to pour into your sinking funds a month. So $300 a month into your sinking funds will really bolster them incredibly. And then at that point, instead of the $20 a month going into your 1 month ahead, I would suggest doing, because you make around $3,000 a month. So let's say you were to do $120 a month. So in 25 months, you could have that. I'm sorry, my baby's crying. Anyway, I think you get the point. I'm going to send all of this, every single document to you in a PDF where you can print it out. And then if you want, when you receive your paycheck, you can put in the actual amount that it is for each thing and recalculate. And if your bills fluctuate, you can do the changes in the fluctuations and continue on with the calculations on any fluctuations. And if anything outrageous happens, you can contact me. Like, let's say you get a bill, you get something in at $600, and you're not quite sure how to spend that additional $195. I definitely have things and tips for you on where to put that money to reduce your debt as soon as possible. But I definitely think by the end of 2022, you should have all of your credit cards eliminated, and then 4 months into 2023, your Jeep, your Jeep will be eliminated, and then halfway through 23, all the medical bills will be eliminated, and then you will be saving significant amounts of money at that point. And then you can choose whether you want to tackle. You can always add. After the medical bills are paid off, you then can, add an additional $200 to your truck loan, which would be a $575 payment, but you would still have $400 extra every month to sink into your all of your sinking funds, and to bolster up your 1 month ahead. And to, really contribute to like the vacation and really stack back money. Anyway, I hope that you kind of got it. I'm sorry for all the interruptions. And thank you so much for letting me do this for you. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, let me know.